What? I can't do the UFC thing. Yeah, let me do the UFC thing. Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, let me have it. Let me have it. Let me have this one. Yes. 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 Do your moms. Yes. All right. I am. In this corner, a ticker going up 121%. No losses. Or, well, yeah. It stands 121% tall, fighting out of the red corner. Fighting out of the green corner. It's because it is green. All right. Peel with a float of 1 million at a volume of 20 million. PLRZ. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing today? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. And yeah, hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are doing well. Me personally, I'm just chilling right now. Yeesh. CCCF says NIVF, please. The news is really good. Yeah, I'm going to go check it out in just a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen. Just got to get everything all set up and ready to go. Just got to get all the announcements sent out. Bop, right there. Boom, right there. There we go. Another one right there. Another one right there. All right. There we go. Another one. And another one. Yeah, I admit, though, that was a great Bruce Buffer thing. It's going to be a sad day when that man retires. Anyway, PLRZ now 131. New high. Man, I just stepped up into the building and already things are running. PLRZ up 131%. 131% right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. PLRZ currently up 131%. All right, moving on up right over here. Bop right there and bop right there. Look at that. PLRZ up 131. 131. That is actually a newly parabolic runner. Yes, sir. All right. Yes, sir. And PLRZ, I'm just keeping an eye on it right now while I do my thing right here. All right. Ooh. You know, I go on X.com. Like I went on X.com just now to check out check out the live stream, get the live stream on so I can set everything up on it. And I find out that a 17-year-old kid just built a mind-controlled prosthetic arm for $300 for something that costs like $450,000. This man used AI, cheap materials, and 23,000 lines of code. This is a brilliant kid. Holy. Oh, you know what? Man, props to them. The kids like that, they're going to build the future, all right? Anyway, that's kind of cool, though. That is kind of dope. Yes. All right. So, anyways, I got distracted there. Anyway. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, isn't it? Yes, sir. Yes, it is. All right. So let's just get all the announcements out. I think I got it all sent out on the YouTubes. Yes, sir. All right. Get that set out there. Get that sent out there. All right. And boom. Get this all put out over here. All right. And right now we are keeping an eye on PLRZ up 120%. 120% ran up a nice high of 131. It's been just moving up and then dropping down a little bit. You know what I mean? It's been moving up and then making little drops and then curling its way back up a little bit. So it's just been doing that as of late. It's it'll go from 130, it'll go from 120. Right, to 125, back down to 120, and then after that it'll shoot up to 131, back down to 120, and then just go back up again. It'll do all that cool stuff. So you know what? It does that. It do be like that sometimes. At PLRZ has a float of 1 million, volume of 23 million, and it's looking really good right now. Looking good. Looking good. All right, all right, all right. All right. So, as of now, PLRZ currently up to 121%. I'm just sharing everything, getting everything all set up and ready to go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let me make sure over here. Let me share on the YouTubes. On the YouTubes. Bop, right there. Good, good. Okay. All right. Looking schmexy over there. Yeah. All right. Let's take a look over here. Good, good. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let's see here. All right. Getting ourselves all set up. Boom. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Oh, let me fix that little glitchy thing that happens sometimes. Oh, little glitchy thing. Give me a second. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second. 1 second. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. There we are. All right, all right, all right. There we go. Let me paste this over here. Boom, right there. Oh, oopsie. Oopsie. All right. Let me get this right here. Bop right there. All right. There we are. There we are. Boom. Get that set up right there. Boom, right there. Ooh, get that pinned. Yes, sir. Get this set up over here. Bop, right there. And then finally, bop, right there. Okay. All right. So as of now, PLRZ had a nice high of 131%. So let's get this thing started right here. Let's get this thing started. All right. So what's up, guys? It's Double Nicks, and welcome to another episode of Microcap Mornings. I am your host with the most. They call me DBL Nicks in the house, aka the Rainmaker. And I am here with the lovely Serengeti specialist herself. She likes to hang around in the tall weeds, the high trees, the low seas, hitting them high knees. Sometimes she likes 2 cups of coffee. Other times she likes to jet ski. Sometimes she likes to regular ski. Other times she gets into the stock market and finds them ABCDs. Other times she likes to party, go to RBs and watch videos of puppies and kitties. Sometimes she likes to go to Wendy's as well. Maybe even Mickey D's. It depends on the day. But there's one thing she always likes to do, and that is steal my lo mein. And to top it off, she goes and finds some wonderful stonks like FTEL, TAOP, and PLRZ. We call her DBL Moms. All right. So that's what we got going on, folks. That's what we got going on, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, let's get ourselves started up. Let's get everything all set up and ready to go. So we got a couple of stocks that ran today. Before we get to that, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And of course, if you want access to our private Discord, link to join is in the description down below, so be sure to check that out. It's a 4-day trial for our real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join is in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section, so be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different, and the early bird gets the cash. The moolah, the loots, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. And, of course, we called quite a few wonderful stocks today. We did. And of course, when you get the real-time alerts to scanners, you get access to our amazing scanners one of which is right over here on the left side of the screen right here. You get access to our newsroom, which is a wonderful research tool that gives you access to hyperlinks that contain the news articles, maybe a small synopsis of the news article, as well as the tickers that are being affected by the news within said article. You also get access to the hyperlinks for said scanners that we have as well that you could click into. You get all the information, be it the ticker itself. You could get information on the charts. You could get information on the price, volume, float, etc., as well as the percentage points it ran up. That's what you got going on there, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we got going on there. So pretty awesome, ladies and gentlemen. We also have an amazing community of people, very supportive, very wonderful. These guys love to help each other. They like to grow. They like to make money. They like to do all that good stuff. So be sure to check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Get that real-time alerts and scanners trial for only $9.99 for the first 4 days. Link to join is in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section, so be sure to check it out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so that's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on, and if you get access to the Wealth Builders, you get everything in the real-time alerts and scanners, plus you get access to amazing exclusive Wealth Builder content. You get access to exclusive Wealth Builder picks. We got access to amazing, wonderful picks pertaining to the stock market. You also get access to educational courses, all sorts of cool stuff like that. That's what we got going on. That is what we got going on. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get started. All right. PLRZ for now. That stock ran up a nice 131. 131. All right. Let me get that on here. Boom. Right there. PLRZ ran up a nice 131% right there. PLRZ ran up nicely. Boom. Hold on 1 second. Right there. Oh, also, yes, CCCF, I do see your call on NIVF. I'm going to take a look at that real soon. Just got to get everything all set up over here. PLRZ, we called it earlier this morning, ran up a nice 131%. Going to be keeping an eye on this stock. Is on a bit of an uptrend, but needs to remain friends with the trend. So we'll see what happens there. All right, TAOP, we call that as well. Ran up a nice 70%. Ran up 70%. We called it earlier this morning right there. All right, and then we got FTEL, we called that one this morning as well. Ran up a nice 63% right there. Yeesh. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. Okay. And let's see what we got going on over here. We got CMND. Called that one this morning. It ran up a nice 34%. 34%. Called that one as well. Called EB. All right. That one ran up a nice 78% as well. 78% ran up nicely, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So that's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. So there we are. Okay. CCCF requested NIVF. Let's take a look at NIVF. NIVF currently up 9%. Up 9% right now. This stock is very, very choppy. Had a nice jump up over here and then pretty much decided to kind of consolidate. Went down a bit. Then after that started to curl up a little bit above the VWAP. Very choppy, but let's see let's take a look at the float and volume. The float is 1.32 million, approximately 1.32 million. Volume is 426,000. So NIVF has a very low volume, the float is reasonable, but the volume is extremely low for this stock, up 7%. Looks like it's going down a bit. So we're going to see what happens here, but it is very choppy, very low volume. Shows a lot of indecisive wicks over here. needs to break above this VWAP and stay above this VWAP for it to be so much maxi to mya. I'm going to make a line over here because it is kind of consolidated a little bit. Needs to really break this pennant for it to be so much maxi to mya right now. And of course, has to break above this VWAP because right now it's currently below the VWAP. So it has to break above the VWAP, has to break through the pennant for it to be so much maxi to mya. As of now, it was a bit overbought on the RSI, just a little bit, but as of now, the float is actually pretty reasonable. It's the volume that really needs some work. So NIVF needs volume, and needs to break the pennant and the VWAP for it to be so much maxi to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So that's really what we got going on for NIVF. NIVF. All right. Now, let's take a look at PLRZ. Actually, before we do that, let's take a look at RYOJ. RYOJ seems to be moving on some low volume right now. Yeah, had a bit of an uptrend going up there, but again, very choppy, needs volume. Had a small uptrend going above the VWAP temporarily and then went back down. Not looking too schmexy there. Has unconfirmed Q3 earnings due in 14 days from now on December 16th before the market opens. So RYOJ moved up on some low volume, but now needs to really break the VWAP. So RYOJ moved up on low volume, but needs to break the VWAP for it to be so much maxi to mya. Let's take a look back at PLRZ. PLRZ. Let's take a look at PLRZ. PLRZ on a bit of an uptrend here. Yep, it's now playing with the high a day, which was 131. Now up 133. Yes, sir. Okay, baby. 138. There we go. 140. There we go. PLRZ. New high a day, 140%. 140%. PLRZ. PLRZ. Up 140%. Moved up and is remaining friends with the trend and breaking the high of day. Ladies and gentlemen, called this stock earlier in the morning. All right, PLRZ actually had a new high of 140% right there. 140, ladies and gentlemen, 140 has to stay above the $6.73 line, has to break through $7.83 for it to be so much maxi to mya. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 200. Let's get to 200, ladies and gentlemen. Come on now. Let's get to 200. Share party, share party, share party. All right. So PLRZ as of now hit a high of 140. Looks like it's about to test it. It's testing that high a day once again. Smack that 140 mark right there. Can it break above 140? Can it do it? Can it do it? Come on now. Let's see if it can, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if it can. It's testing that high a day, man. It is testing that high a day. PLRZ. PLRZ testing the high a day. High of day. There we go. PLRZ testing that high a day. All right. It went back down a little bit to 135%, but it's climbing back up once again. All right. It's kind of just trying to stay above that $6.73 line and break through that $7.83 line. To break through that $7.83 line, that is the resistance right there. Has to break above that, but it is forming a bit of a top tail. We don't like the top tails. We like the bottom tails. Come on, baby. Come on now. PLRZ needs to remain friends with that trend. Come on now. Come on now. Come on. Yeah. So, PLRZ currently just chilling right now. PLRZ is currently chilling right now. Oh, looks like we have another bagger. TAOP. TAOP just ran up to 105%. TAOP ran up to a nice 105%. What the heck? What the heck? Oh, my. Oh, my. I mean, it hit 105% and then went back down. So very, very volatile. I mean, it is a bagger, but it is volatile. It's a volatile bagger. So, not feeling this one, but I will tell you this, it ran up a nice 105%, but then dropped back down. So, TAOP ran up 105%, needs more volume, though, in my opinion, because TAOP has a float. You know what it is, actually? The float is 782,000. So the fact that it's got that low float means that stocks like that tend to be volatile. So TAOP hit 105%. Up. It curled its way on up again. Once again, but I do not trust it. Yep, see, there we go. TAOP, very, very choppy. Very, very choppy. TAOP, new bagger, hit 105%. Very choppy. Very choppy. Very choppy. Yeesh. Let me refresh it just to make sure that there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't. I think that's just the stock being the stock being the stock. You know what I mean? It's just the stonk being the stonk. You know how it is, ladies and gentlemen. You know how it is. You know how it is. The stonk is being the stonk is being the stonk, you know? But it needs to break that downtrend. All right. So, as of now, it's hitting highs and then it's like just going back down. It needs to break that VWAP. It needs to solidly break that VWAP, right? It needs to also break the downtrend right here and needs to really break above that. So TAOP, very choppy, needs to break the downtrend on that low float. All right, so that's what we got going on there. TAOP, very choppy. That is what we got going on, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we got going on. So let's take a look at what else we got. What else we got, ladies and gentlemen? Let me add them. Let me add them. All right, let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see. All right, all right, all right. All right. Let's see. Let's see here. All right. So, let's see what we got going on here. TAOP needs to do its thing, needs to go up and show that it can be schmexy too. You know what I mean? It needs to show that it can be schmexy. But we'll see what goes on with this stock. Again, it's very, very choppy, very, very low float. So I'm not entirely trusting of this stonk, as you can see. So you know, good for a quick, nice little runner, but not the biggest fan. You know what I mean? Not the biggest fan. All right. So let's see what other stonks we got going on here. All right. Let's see here. We got FTEL. FTEL. Let me take a look at FTEL over here. All right. FTEL. Let's see here. All right. FTEL has a bit of a pennant going on right over here. It needs to break above the pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Needs to break above the VWAP as well. FTEL formed a bit of a pennant. Needs to break that pennant and break the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. FTEL needs to break the pennant and VWAP to become somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. All right. Somebody requested QTTB. QTTB. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. QTTB on a bit of a downtrend right now. So we'll see what happens there. QTTB on a bit of a downtrend. Not looking too schmexy right now. Not looking schmexy. Needs volume. Needs some volume for it to really be somewhat interesting to me. Currently down 0.26% right now. So needs to break above that downtrend and break above the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. QTTB right there. Let's take a look. QTTB needs to break the downtrend and the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. All right. Oh, Somebody requested NIVF once again. Let's see how NIVF is doing. NIVF. Ooh, nice. It went up off the panic. Good thing. Good thing. Good thing. Good thing. Good thing. There we go. Let's see. All right. Had a nice little uptrend over here, but it looks like it's trying to hold above that little uptrend over there. Needs to remain friends with the trend. NIVF had a little price spike over here. Nice, nice. There we go. NIVF price spike needs to remain friends with the trend. There we go. There we go. Needs to remain friends with the trend for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, NIVF currently up 29%. Needs to remain friends with the trend. Let's get some support and resistance lines on it. There we go. There we go. All right. So, there we are. Boom. Right there. Has support at $2.66. Has to break through 289 for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Right now, it is testing the support, which it needs to do the opposite of that. It needs to test that resistance. Right now, it's testing that support. So let's see if it can hold above 266. I hope so. Hope so. I hope so. So let's see how it does. All right, TAOP. Let's see how TAOP is doing right now. TAOP in the meantime. TAOP, excuse me. TAOP. Yep, still on that downtrend. Needs to break above that downtrend right there. TAOP. TAOP needs to break the downtrend for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. All right, all right, all right. There we go, there we go, there we go. Oh my. Okay, yep. I still do not trust TAOP for the life of me. Can't trust it as far as I can throw it. You know what I mean? But it do be like that. Taoping shares, yeah, but nope. There you go. NIVF is moving. All right. NIVF. You know, let's go to NIVF. I like NIVF so far a little bit. All right. NIVF now up 38%. That's good. That's good right there. That's good. All right. NIVF. All right. All right, let's see what we got over here. NIVF. All right. Yeesh. All right, so NIVF currently up a nice 38%. 38%. NIVF still moving right now on the uptrend. NIVF, there we go. On the uptrend right there. So that's what we got going on, folks. That's what we got going on. NIVF curling its way on up. Right now, it is in a bit of a doji candle. Can it break above it? Let's see what goes on. I hope it does, ladies and gentlemen. I hope so. I hope so. Has to stay above $2.70 and break through $2.95 for it to really be so much maxi to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see what else we got over here. What else we got? What else we got? Let me add them. Let me add them. All right. All right. All right. All right. Yes. All right, all right. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Let me see here. All right. So, as of now, just taking a look at some good stuff here. Let's take a look at some good stuff here. All right. Let's see what requests we got. Oh, all right. So somebody requested TAOP once again. Again, with TAOP, I don't trust it entirely. It is a bagger that we called earlier in the day, but I mean, it did go back down. Yeah, strong sell-off. It like pops up too. It's no volume. Well, actually, you know what? It has the volume. It's got the 14 million volume, but the float is extremely low. Oh yeah, that was earlier though. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. That's true. That's true. All right, and the float is 782,000, so it's a bit volatile due to the float as well. So you got that going on right there. TAOP shares are trading higher after the company signed a supplemental agreement to acquire 100% of a target company for about 21.36 million. So it has that news going on right there. That's the news that it's got going on. But as of now with this stock, I don't entirely trust it. Don't entirely trust it. It's one of those stocks that's just like, meh. It's trying to break above that downtrend, though. I will say that TAOP trying to break above the downtrend. So we got that going on. Let's go right there. Yes, sir. TAOP. TAOP trying to break the downtrend. Can it break above the VWAPA for it to be so much maxi to mia? We shall see. We shall see. All right, but that's what's going on with TAOP. Personally, I don't trust it. I think it's one of them China stocks. One of them China stocks. I don't know entirely. Let me actually check. I'm curious to see if it is one of them China stocks. Is that a China stock? Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Excuse me. Boop, right there. All right. Doesn't say. Does not say if it is a China stock or not. I think it is, though. The name Tao Ping does sound Chinese. You know, the name Tao Ping. Yeah. So maybe. We'll see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. We shall see what happens with this stock. But right now, we'll see. All right, let's take a look at BFRI. BFRI. Let's see how BFRI is doing right now. BFRI. Let's get a share party going, by the way. Let's get to 700. 700, ladies and gentlemen. Come on now. BFRI had a nice little move upward on some low volume. But again, BFRI, small price spike on low volume. But again, don't trust it. I don't trust it. BFRI, small price spike on low volume. That's what we got going on right there, folks. That is what we got going on right there. BFRI. There we go. There we go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So let's take a look at JSPR. JSPR. Let's take a look at that one. JSPR. Let me actually get this over here. Boom and boom right there. Okay. So JSPR currently needs to break above the tiny little downtrend that it developed over here. So let me actually get that. It's actually, you know what? It's more like a pennant, if anything. All right. A bit of a pennant going on right over here. Needs to break that pennant. Needs to break above the VWAPA as well. Ooh, PLRZ testing the high day. Whoop. Oh, there we go. Hold on, JSPR. Let me just put that there. Needs to break the pennant and the VWAPA for it to be so much mexi to mia. All right, let's take a look at PLRZ. PLRZ. Moving. Oh, yes, 152%. There we go. New higher day. PLRZ. PLRZ shot up 152%. 152%. And broke that high once again. Called it, baby. There we go. PLRZ up 150%. 150% right there. 152% right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see what else he got. What else he got? Let's see here. All right. So, PLRZ PLRZ up 152% right there, 152%. That's how high it went. Has news that Polyryzen shares are trading higher after the company announced it completed a manufacturing upscaling milestone for its proprietary nasal spray product platform. So it's got that going on right there. That's what it's got going on right there. Can it test that high a day once again? Has to hold above 689, break through $8.04 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya and continue to be schmexy to mya, actually. So, yeah, that's what we got going on right there. Let me get some water in me real quick. 1 second, 1 second. All right, so now we're back. We are back. All right, so currently, right now, PLRZ is on a bit of an uptrend, slowly but surely climbing its way back up. We'll see what happens. We shall see what happens. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, what other stunks we got going on here? Somebody requested SOFI. Let's see how SOFI is doing. SOFI on a slight uptrend, a little bit. Little tiny uptrend right here. Let's check out that floating volume, though. Let's check out that floating volume. All right. Looks like the float is 1.19 billion. Ooh, not schmexy. That's a very heavy float right there. Volume is 633,000. Ugh. The float is very heavy. 1 billion is very, very heavy for a float. And then the volume is not even half of that. Way less than half of that. So I do not trust this stock for the life of me. It is above the VWAP. It is on a slight uptrend, but honestly, with this stock, it's only a matter of time till it drops like a rock, in my opinion. It's up 1% right now, so it's got that going on right there. SOFI, extremely low float and heavy volume on an uptrend. On a very shaky uptrend. A very shaky one, truthfully. I don't trust this, me personally. SOFI, very heavy float, very low volume. Not schmexy to me. Not schmexy. Let's see how PLRZ is doing. PLRZ, just going to check in on it real quick. Up 142%, trying to climb its way back up. We'll see what happens there. Let's continue on. Let's continue on to SOUN. SOUN, somebody requested SOUN. Let's take a look over here. SOUN up 1%. Up 1%. Has to hold above the VWAP for it to be so much schmexy to mya. SOUN has to hold above that VWAP. Let's take a look at the float and volume. The float is 385 million. That's very heavy for a float. Volume is 472,000. So once again, very heavy float, very low volume. Not looking too schmexy there. Not looking schmexy at all. SOUN. SOUN. All right. Very low volume. Very choppy. Needs to remain above the VWAPA for it to be so much schmexy to mya. All right. So, got that going on right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. What else is going on here? What else we got? What else we got? Let me add them. Let me add them. All right. Let's see what other stocks we got. Somebody requested SGMO. SGMO. All right. SGMO. All right. SGMO. Let's get this refreshed over here. Boom. SGMO, very, very choppy. Lot of indecisive wicks in the beginning here. Then formed a double top before dropping back down below the VWAP over here. Not looking too schmexy. Take a look at this bot right there. Dropped like a rock and then proceeds to kind of climb up, break the VWAP again, and then it looks like it's trying to go back down a little bit. Has news that Sangam Therapeutics are trading higher after the FDA granted fast track designation to ASST 503, up 14% as of now. Let's take a look at the float. The float is 333 million. very heavy. Volume is 4.3 million, so the volume is still lighter than that of the float. Not looking schmexy, not looking schmexy at all. All right, so as of now, let's see what we got going on here. Let's take a look. And let's get a share party going on. You know what I mean? Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 900, 900, 900, 900. All right, SGMO. SGMO needs to break this pennant. Low volume. All right, SGMO, low volume, needs to break the pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let's see. What else we got? What else we got? Let me add them. Let me add them. Yeesh. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. All right. So, as of now, we're currently taking a look at SGMO. Needs to break the pennant. Very low volume. Last I checked. Not looking too schmexy as of now. Not looking too schmexy. Let's see what goes on. Let's see what other stocks we got. Somebody requested VSIG. VSIG, I remember that stock is kind of a bit of a pump and dump there. So let's take a look at VSIG. Yep, VSIG is a bit of a pump and dump. Yes, it pumped and then it dumped. Not schmexy at all. All right. Not looking too schmexy right there. So, all right. So that's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. VSIG needs to break above that pennant. Very low volume as well. VCIG, low volume, needs to break the pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. All right. Let's see what other stocks we got. What other stocks we got? Somebody requested CAPT. 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 Not schmexy at all. Even formed a bit of a downtrend, truthfully. Eesh. CAPT needs to break the downtrend in VWAP. There we go. CAPT needs to break the downtrend and the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's take a look at JSPR. JSPR. Let's see how JSPR is holding up there. JSPR curling above the pennant right here, trying to test that VWAP maybe. We'll see what happens. JSPR has news, though, that Jasper Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the company reported preliminary clinical data from Jasper's Etesian Phase 1b study of subcutaneous briquilimab in adult participants with allergic asthma. So, they got that going on right there. JSPR curling off the pennant slightly. JSPR, let's take a look over here. Curling off the pennant slightly. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. So, as of now, JSPR curling off that pennant slightly. Not looking too schmexy as actually, it's trying. I will give it credit for trying. But it needs to break that pennant for it to really be schmexy to me. Anyways, otherwise, just not useful to me. All right. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, SGMO moving. Let's see how SGMO is doing. SGMO curling up 19%, curling above the pennant right here. Yeah, SGMO curling above the pennant, up 22% right now. There we go. There we go. There we go. Up 23%. There we go. SGMO up 23%. SGMO up 23%. Curling off the pennant. There we go. There we go. All right. up 29% now and just climbing its way on up. Sangam Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the FDA granted fast track designation to ASST 503. So it's got some good news there. That's a good catalyst. Now up 30% right there. SGMO. SGMO. All right. All right. So as of now, SGMO up 31%. Up 31%. Just been watching it for a second there. Moving its way on up. New high a day. Up 32%. There we go. Let's get some support and resistance lines on this stock right here. Let's get some support and resistance lines right over. Yeah. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Ooh. Let's see what we got over here. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. There we go. All right. So let's take a look over here. Currently now, SGMO needs to break that double top. Needs to break that double top for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let me just get this over here. Let me just get this over here. Boom. All right. All right. Let's take a look over here at SGMO. Currently formed a bit of a double top just now. A little bit of a double top. Not looking too schmexy right now. Not looking too schmexy right now. Needs to break that double top for it to continue to be schmexy to mya. All right. So that's what we got going on there. All right. Let's take a look at PLRZ, and Ruby just apparently probably had some reverse split because I don't think it ever went up to 2,809%. So Ruby probably had a reverse split. That's probably what happened there. PLRZ, let's take a look at PLRZ. All right, PLRZ starting to kind of consolidate a little bit along the $6.89 mark, which is where the support is. Has to break above that for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. PLRZ, we called it this morning at 7:14 a.m. on our private Discord, and it ran up a nice 152%. So PLRZ ran up 152%. Called it on the private Discord. Check it out here. Boom. There we go. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out our 4-day trial for the real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different, and the early bird gets the cash. The moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So PLRZ up 122%. Had a high of 152% right there. So we'll see what goes on, ladies and gentlemen. But we called PLRZ earlier in the day. Called it at 7:14 a.m. and are now just chilling. Chilling right now. All right. All right, all right, all right. All right. All right. So, as of now, PLRZ needs to hold above that 689 mark and break through 804 for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Otherwise, it's just meh. Not looking too schmexy right there. Not looking or feeling too schmexy about that stock right there. Let's see what other stocks we got over here. Somebody requested FTEL. FTEL. trying to curl above the VWAPA, trying to curl above the VWAPA right now. Looks like it's trying to test it just a little bit right there. Trying to curl off that pennant. There we go. FTEL, 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 trying to break the pennant. The VWAP broke through the pennant. There we go. There we go. There we go. So, we got that going on, folks. That is what we got going on. FTEL currently curling its way on upward. We'll see what happens there. All right. So, as of now, trying to break the VWAP, needs to break that pennant. Needs to break, actually has to hold above the VWAP and break through the VWAP right there. So that's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So as of now, we are just chilling, keeping an eye on some stocks. NIVF was once again requested. NIVF. Let's take a look over here. NIVF. NIVF. Oof. Dropped like a rock. Not looking schmexy. Not schmexy right now. Ugh, okay. All right. Let's get rid of these. NIVF has to break this pennant, though, for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Probably had, if I had to guess, chances are good, maybe it diluted. Maybe it diluted. I don't know. Let's take a look and see. Let's see if there's any news. Is there any news? All right. Let's see. Let's see here. All right, so we got New Gen reporting a 9-month 2025 result with balance sheet strengthened to 66.75 net asset value per share. So we got that going on. New Gen Group Limited general corporate statement by foreign issuer. That's a Form 6. Reports financial turnaround and strategic diversification. Reports 9-month 2025 results with balance sheet strengthened to 66.75 net asset value per share. Revenues were $3.3 million compared to $4.2 million for the same project 2024. A net value per share has improved to see $66.75 from negative net book value as of December 31st, 2024, representing a significant balance sheet transformation driven by strategic acquisitions of high-value intellectual property assets. So let's see what we got going on here. All right, currently NIVF is down 14%. Needs to break that downtrend, ladies and gentlemen, for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. But right now, it is not schmexy at all. It needs to break that downtrend, ladies and gentlemen. NIVF needs to break the downtrend. Downtrend. There we go. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Let us see real quick what we got going on here. And by the way, we are just a couple minutes out from the bell. The bell. It deafens me. Just about 17 minutes out. It was just a second. Just need to grab some water real quick, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be right back. Let's get a share party going. Let's get the 1400. 1400. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Come on now. Hold on one second. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. All right. That's some good water. Ooh. All right. So, NIVF. Yeah, needs to break that downtrend. Needs to break that downtrend. Man. All right. Let's take a look at ETHZ. ETHZ up 16%. Very choppy, though. Needs to break the VWAP. ETHZ. Low volume. Needs to break the VWAPA. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What other stocks we got going on? Somebody requested AHMA. AHMA needs to break the VWAPA. That one also needs to break the VWAPA. Has unconfirmed H1 earnings in 14 days from now on December 16th, 2025, on Tuesday before the market open. I will say this, though. AHMA did break through the VWAP. So, AHMA broke through the VWAP, but still needs some volume. Needs volume, ladies and gentlemen. AHMA needs volume to break above the VWAPA. To stay above the VWAPA, really. Needs volume. Broke above the VWAP. It did. It broke above the VWAP right now. So it's got that going on, but it is still down 10%. So it's bearish. Needs some volume. Otherwise, just man. So has a little tiny one. Let's see what happens. Needs to remain friends with that little trend right there. Let's see what else you got. Let's see here. Somebody requested BITF. BITF. Let's see how BITF is doing. Up 5%. Very, very choppy. Not looking too schmexy as of now. It has a bit of an uptrend here. But the thing is, it is very, very choppy. A lot of A, B, C, D. No, not even A. Excuse me, not A, B, C, D. Just has straight up low volume. I could give you a channel right now. Had a channel right over here which shows consolidation and low volume. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to check the volume myself. Let me take a look at the float and volume. Float is 578 million, which is extremely heavy for float. Volume is 1.58 million. So, as of now, the volume is a lot lower than the float. Not schmexy at all. BITF looks like it's about to fall below the trend line. BITF needs to remain friends with the trend, but it has some very low volume. BITF needs to remain friends with the trend. Has very low volume. All right. So, it's got that going on right there. That is what it's got going on. All right. There we go. All right. So, what other stonks they got me, they asking me about? Let's see here. Somebody requested CAPT. Let's take a look at CAPT. CAPT, yep, still on that downtrend. Needs to break above that downtrend. CAPT needs to break above the downtrend and the VWAPA for it to be somewhat schmexy. To Mya up 0.82%, so not looking too schmexy there. All right, not looking schmexy right there. Let's see about another stunk. All right. Somebody requested CIFR. CIFR currently needs to stay above the the VWAP over here. It needs to stay above this VWAP. Currently needs to also, it's up 2%, which ain't much. So CIFR up 2%, not looking too schmexy in that regard. Is above the VWAP, but we'll see what happens here. Let's get this graffiti pencil activated over Mia. There we go. There we go. Right there. Needs to break the descending wedge over here for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. CIFR needs to stay above the VWAP. CIFR needs to stay above the VWAP and break the descending wedge for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 1,700. 1,700, ladies and gentlemen, 1,700. We are just about 10 minutes out from the bell. The bell. You know how it goes. All right, let's take a look at PDSB. PDSB seems like it had a bit of a price spike, maybe. We'll see what goes on. PDSB. All right. PDSB, very, very choppy, low volume. Had a bit of a price spike, but it is still low volume. So PDSB moved up on low volume. PDSB moved up on low volume. Very choppy. So got that going on right there. PDSB. So needs to do that, ladies and gentlemen. Needs to do that right there. For it to be so much maxi to Mia. Hang on 1 second. 1 second right there. 1 second right there. Bop right there. All right. So we are good. All right. Guten Tag. All right. So what other stonks we got going on over here? And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 1,700. 1,700, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to 1,700. You know what I got to look at? I got to look at the fan favorite. This is a crowd favorite, ASST. ASST, ooh, still got those little choppies, huh? All right, buddy. Let's get a look at you. All right, got a choppy over here. All right. Got another one right over here. All right. Boom. Got another choppy one right over Mia. And then got another one right over Mia. Right over Mia. All right. So, as of now, ASST very, very choppy. Not looking too schmexy at all right now. ASST barcoding needs volume for it to be so much schmexy to Mia. ASST. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1,800. BYND, another crowd favorite. Another crowd favorite needs to break above the downtrend right here. BYND needs to break the downtrend and the VWAP for it to be so much schmexy to me. Up 5%, but again, needs to break that VWAP. So BYND needs to break the downtrend and the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mia. There we go. All right. So that's what we got going on there. 8 minutes till the bell. The bell, it deafens me. Yeesh, yeesh. All right. So as of now, BYND, not schmexy. Let's check out another one. Open. Let's see how Open's doing. How's Open doing? OPEN. How you doing there, bud? All right. Very choppy. Choppy. Not looking too schmexy there. Not looking too schmexy. No. Not schmexy right there. Bop right there and right there. Needs to break above the pennant right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mia. Has to hold above the VWAP as well. Open needs to stay above the VWAP. Needs volume as well. Open needs volume to break the channel and stay above the VWAP. The VWAPA. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, all right, all right. Okay. Let's take a look at another stonk over here. Let's see what we got. Somebody requested RGTI. RGTI. Let's take a look at RGTI. RGTI. Let's see. Up 2%. Not looking schmexy at all. Currently, not looking too schmexy. Not looking schmexy. I'm trying to see if I can find something that's schmexy, but I can't do it. There's nothing here. Nothing schmexy. Nothing schmexy about this stonk right here. Nothing schmexy. Needs to break above the pennant right here. Bot right there. For it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. That's what it needs to do. For it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. So RGTI needs volume to break the pennant and the VWAPA. All right. Let's see what we got here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what we got here. Someone requested SCRV. SCRV. Let's take a look at SCRV. Very choppy. Not little to no volume. SCRV. Very choppy. Needs volume. Not schmexy. Not schmexy. All right. PLRZ. We already did PLRZ. We're going to do it again right here. Somebody requested it of us. All right. So PLRZ as of now moved up nicely. Moved up to a nice 152%. But then kind of sort of just started to consolidate a little bit. A little bit of consolidation. You know what I mean? Little consolidation. Has to hold above the VWAPA for it to be so much maxi to meow. Yes. PLRZ currently. Yeah. All right. All right. So as of now, PLRZ needs to break this pennant. Needs to break the pennant. Polyrizon shares are trading higher after the company announced it completed a manufacturing upscaling milestone for its proprietary nasal spray product platform, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. 3 minutes till the bell. 3 minutes till the bell. Let's get it going there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it going there. PLRZ. PLRZ. All right. Needs to break above that pennant, though, ladies and gentlemen. Needs to break above that pennant, PLRZ. PLRZ needs to break above the pennant for it to be so much maxi to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see what else we got here. What other stonks do we have here? All right. All right. Let's take a look at JSPR. 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 Jasper Therapy. And again, the news, it's currently up 23%. News is still that Jasper Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the company reported preliminary clinical data from Jasper's new Adhesion Phase 1B study of the subcutaneous briquilimab in adult participants with allergic asthma. All right. All right, all right, all right. All right. So as of now, JSPR needs to break that VWAP. JSPR needs to break that VWAP for it to be so much mexi to mya. That's what it needs to do. So JSPR needs to break the VWAP for it to be so much mexi to mya. That's what it needs to do. So we'll leave it to it right there. All right, we shall leave it to it. All right. All right. Let's see here. Let's take a look at another stock over here. CAPS. Somebody requested CAPS. All right, let's take a look at CAPS. Caps. Let's go. Caps up 2%. 2% right now. Formed a bit of a pennant right here. Bot right there. And bot right there. Not looking too schmexy right now. Needs to break above this pennant, this VWAP right over here. Needs to break above the pennant as well. Looks like it's trying to a little bit. But again, very, very choppy. Up 3%. Not feeling too schmexy about this. And now we have the bell. The bell. Yeesh. Yeesh, the bell. It is time for the bell. Yeesh. Good. Good. Caps up 0.1%. Not looking too schmexy there. All right. So let's take a look over here. Let's see here. CAPS needs to break above the pennant right here and the VWAP for it to be so much mexi to mya. There we go. That's what we got going on. Let's see what else we got over here. What else we got? What else we got? Let me add them. All right. All right. So let's take a look at that going on right there. Let's take a look over here. Let's take a look at some of the stonks here. FTEL seems to be moving a bit. FTEL, let's see how FTEL is doing. All right, nice. It's moving its way on up above the VWAP, broke the VWAP and broke off that pennant. FTEL curled off the pennant and broke the VWAP. So that's good. FTEL up 50%. Broke the pennant and the VWAP and is on an uptrend. As of now, needs to remain friends with the trend though, for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Otherwise, you know how it goes, ladies and gentlemen. You know how it goes. FTEL. FTEL Corporation, Class A ordinary shares up 51%. 51%. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. All right. So JSPR. Let's take a look at JSPR. JSPR. Let's see how JSPR is doing. Again, JSPR up 29%. Jasper Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the company reported preliminary clinical data from Jasper's Etesian Phase 1B of the subcutaneous briquilimab in adult participants with allergic asthma. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. All right. So as of now, this stunk is currently trying to. It's still below the VWAP. Needs to really break above the VWAP for it to be so much schmexy to mya. Needs to break above that VWAP. So let's see what we got going on there. JSPR. Let's get a share party going on. By the way, let's get to 2300. 2300. JSPR needs to break that VWAP right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. All right, so as of now, let's see what else we got. What other stonks do we have today? What other stonks we got? What stonks do we have? All right, so as of now, somebody requested YDKG. YDKG. Okay, YDKG. Let's take a look. Has unconfirmed H1 earnings due in 14 days from now on to December 16th after the market closes. So it's got that going on, up 25%. But the problem is very, very low volume. I mean, very low. This is not schmexy. All right. It is on an uptrend right here, but it's an uptrend on some very, very low and questionable volume. I'm talking very, very low and questionable. All right, let me take a look over here. Let's take a look at the float. Float is actually reasonable at 5.646, but the volume is 416,000. All right, so it's 5.46 million. Volume is 416,000. Very much so has a bunch of indecisive wicks on it. So right now it's moving up, but it's one of those stocks that it has some very, very low volume. Needs volume for it to be so much mexy to meow. Otherwise, just meh. YDKG. Moving up on very low volume. Somebody requested actually, you know what? Let's take a look at MYSZ. MYSZ. Let's see here. Up 26%. 26%. All right. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look. Let's take a look-see. Yes, sir. All right. A look-see for you and for me. All right. So, let's see here. MYSZ. MYSZ currently needs to break above the VWAPA for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. All right. MYSZ. MYSZ needs to break the VWAPA over here for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. All right. Very low volume as well. Had a price spike on low volume. All right. Let's see what else we got here. What else do we have? What else do we have? All right. Let's take a look here. Somebody requested FLYE. FLYE. Let's take a look at FLYE. All right. FLYE on a downtrend right here. On a downtrend. Doesn't look to be schmexy at all. FLYE needs to break the downtrend and needs to break the VWAPA. The VWAPA, yes, has unconfirmed Q2 earnings in 14 days on December 16th before the market opened. So, no. Down 27%. Not looking schmexy. Don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. You know what I mean? I don't like it. Yeesh. I don't like it. Let's see. Let's see what other stonks we got here. Somebody requested NVDA. NVDA. Let's take a look at NVDA. NVDA. NVIDIA. All right. Very, very, very expensive stonk, though. Very expensive. Not a stonk that I personally would trade. Don't get me wrong. I like NVIDIA. I do like their cards. I do have a graphics card for NVIDIA. Matter of fact, but it's very expensive. And the dividend X date is in 2 days, up 3%. So right now, NVIDIA is very, very heavy. I bet the the float is probably insane. Yes, it is. The float is 23 billion, which is extremely high. Volume is 20 million and change. Not looking too schmexy there for him, or actually for any of them, actually for NVIDIA. But I will say this, it does have a bit of an ABCD pattern, sort of. It's just a matter of, well, all right. A little bit of an ABCD pattern there for NVIDIA, but again, very heavy float and very expensive too. NVDA, heavy float and expensive, but has an ABCD pattern. So there we go. But it's NVIDIA. Of course, it's got something good. You know, I mean, NVIDIA is awesome. I mean, it's great for video game graphic cards and all sorts of other things like that, right? So, yeah, I mean, I've been playing using NVIDIA graphics card for probably, I'd say probably 7 years now. Yeah, 7 years. It'd be 7 years going on to 8 years now. So got that going on right there. So yeah, it would be going on to 8 years I've been using NVIDIA's stuff. So yeah, they got that going on. And plus I know NVIDIA's been making a lot of moves as of late, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of moves. There's been like so many little moves that it's been doing. So yeah. All right. All right. So currently just chilling right now, just chilling like a villain. But you know what? I'm probably gonna, hop off as of now. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And of course, if you want access to our private Discord, link to join us in the description down below. So be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different, and the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it for me. Much love. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen. And also remember, you could check us out on our YouTube channel at Coaching Money, at Coach Nick Money, at Coach Nick Money. You can find us on our x.com at Coaching Money. You can find us on our Twitch at Coaching Money. You can find us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money. You can find us on our TikTok, Tiki Taki Tiki Taki, aka the Tac Tac. The Tac Tac, yes. You can find me there at DBL Nicks. At DBL NICKS, and the screen name is Coach Nick Money. So we got that going on right there. Yeesh. And of course, we have access to, you can also gain access to our amazing stonk picks and our amazing newsroom and our amazing community filled with very supportive people, very, very wonderful people, very awesome people as well. You can find that, a 4-day trial for our real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below, so be sure to check that out, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We're just made different, and the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the roots, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. So, that's what we got going on, folks. All right, so, yeah, that's pretty much it for me. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you are indelibles. Leave your mark. And make sure that it is indelible, that it is one of a kind, because you are one of a kind, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you guys during our Power Play show, which is going to be at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find it on the YouTubes at Coaching Money. You can find it on X at Coaching Money. And you can find it on Twitch at Coaching Money. Yes. and it's basically Power Plays, which it takes place before Power Hour. Power Hour, yes sir. It takes place before Power Hour, and basically the Coach Meister General, the legend himself, reviews the stonks, takes a good look at them, and then pretty much, was like, yeah, you know what, I like this one, I don't like. He basically gives it his input, and then afterwards, he lets them simmer a little bit prior to the little Power Hour. So it's Power Plays. So, that's the power portion of the show. And then he plays some Fortnite. And normally, he gets the dub because he's goated. He's cracked at the game. So that's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. So much love. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day. And I'll see you guys later today at 1:30 p.m. for Power Plays. Much love, everybody. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen.